This is the new CUPRA Tavascan, the brand's first all-electric SUV coupe, and probably its boldest move to date. And I've already driven it once before on twisty Spanish roads near Barcelona. My first impressions? Honestly, I was a little bit tough on it. Not because it drove badly, but because of where it sat on the price ladder. It looked good, it felt quick, but it didn't quite convince me that it justified its premium price tag. Now though, I've had the chance to properly drive the VZ1 330 PS model here in the UK, on roads that I know, in conditions that better reflect real-world ownership. So the question is, has the Tavascan earned a second chance? Well, that's what we're going to find out in today's video. Hi guys, I'm Tish and welcome back to Auto Social UK. In today's video, I'm going to tell you all about the all-electric CUPRA Tavascan and find out if it fares a little bit better in today's road test. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I've been keeping an eye, and guys, we need to have a chat, because so many of you are watching my videos and you're not subscribed. So I just want you to take the chance, have a little look, check whether you are subscribed. Okay? Have you done that? If you're not, make sure you subscribe. If you are, then I very much appreciate having you here. Thank you so much, and let's get into the key specs of the CUPRA Tavascan. Let's start with what's on offer. There are 4 different trim levels in the UK: V1, V2, VZ1 and VZ2, and 2 powertrains. V1 and V2 are offering 286 PS and a 0 to 62 time at 6.8 seconds and a range of up to 353 miles. All of them use a 77 kilowatt hour battery. Then we've got the VZ1 and VZ2, which gets dual motors and an all-wheel drive setup. That bumps up the power to 340 PS and torque to 545, and it cuts the 0 to 62 time to 5.5 seconds, although it does bring range down slightly to still a respectable 324 miles. Prices start from just over £47,000 for the base V1 and go up to around £62,000 if you spec up a VZ2 with the optional winter pack. There's one thing which is for certain, and that's that CUPRA products definitely turn heads. Styling has always been the core of CUPRA's identity, and the Tavascan, well, it takes that to a whole new level. This is easily one of the most distinctive EVs that I've seen on the road. CUPRA has always leaned into design, but with the Tavascan, it really feels like they've doubled down. It's aggressive, sculpted, and full of drama, without going over the top. At the front, you get that striking 3-triangle matrix LED lighting signature, which now defines CUPRA's identity. It's sharp, futuristic, and unlike anything else on the road. And even before you spot the badge, you know exactly what this car is. That's how strong the face is. Now, one detail that I really appreciate is the floating CUPRA word mark placed just between the bonnet and the grille line. It looks premium, clean and deliberate, not just stacked on. That said, the CUPRA badge itself isn't actually illuminated on this UK model, unlike some of the early concept versions, but honestly, I don't really think it needs it. The face is strong enough on its own. Now, move around to the sides and the proportions are spot on. For an SUV coupe, it doesn't feel overly bulky. Now, that's partly down to a clever use of contrasting gloss black elements. Now, around the lower body and on the wheel arches, it visibly lowers the car and it gives it the impression of a sleeker, more athletic shape. There are also the bonnet scoops. Now, yes, they're decorative and not actually functional, but they do give it a more aggressive and motorsport-inspired look. It's those little touches which give the Tavascan its own design language. The grille pattern is another real highlight for me. This is an intricate diamond-shaped texture that looks almost like it's shattering at speed, which sounds dramatic, but it really adds to the sense of motion, even when the car's parked. It's a small thing, but it tells you that CUPRA cares about all of the details. Now, wheels range from 19 to 21 inches, and if you go for the forged 21s, they absolutely fill the arches and they complete the stance. The car looks wide, planted and confident, especially in the darker colours, like the Tavascan Blue or the Century Bronze Matte. Around the back, you've also got another full-width light bar and the triangular motif carried through the taillights. It makes the rear just as recognisable as the front, and again, it reinforces CUPRA's new design language. It's bold, expressive, and you can tell that it wasn't designed by a committee. Compared to the ENIAC Coupe or the ID5, which feel more conservative, the Tavascan feels like a proper design-led halo car for CUPRA. Right, let's talk performance, because this VZ1 all-wheel drive packs 340 PS and it really moves. Off the line, it's instant. The 0 to 62 time of 5.5 seconds doesn't tell the whole story. It's the torque delivery and the mid-range shove that really make this feel quick. On a dry A road, the Tavascan grips hard and launches confidently. However, not everything is perfect, as it always is. Let's start with the brakes. I have found the pedal to be a little inconsistent, and I said this in Barcelona, especially around town. There's a little initial softness before it really bites, and that makes stop-start driving feel a little bit less precise than I'd like. It's something that I noticed early on, and it stayed with me, so that is a shame, but doesn't ruin the experience. Then there's the steering. In eco or comfort mode, I've just found it to be way too light and vague, with a disconnect between what your hands are doing and what the front wheels are actually responding to. It improves a lot in sport or CUPRA mode, but personally, I'd prefer a more natural, weighted feel across all the modes. That said, the chassis is superb. The low centre of gravity and the adaptive DCC sport suspension means it handles corners with confidence. Even on 21 inches, the ride is not bone-jarring. It's taut and composed without feeling overly harsh. Once you've got it in the right mode, this is a seriously fun thing to drive, especially for a 2-ton SUV coupe. Step inside and the Tavascan feels genuinely like something out of a concept car, which has actually made it into production. CUPRA has gone all in on creating a space which feels sculpted and driver-focused and genuinely different from the rest of the Volkswagen Group siblings, which I really appreciate. The star of the show is without a doubt this central spine. It's a dramatic architectural structure that connects the floating centre console to the dashboard. It gives the cabin a real sense of drama and separation and balance, almost like a single flowing piece of design rather than a bolted-on feature. It's both functional and expressive, and it really sets the tone for the entire interior. Sitting proudly above that is CUPRA's largest screen ever, a 15-inch infotainment display that we've seen on other Volkswagen groups. It's sharp, fast and fairly easy to use. It's also sculpted towards the driver. There's slim air vents keeping everything clean and modern. You also get a smaller digital cockpit behind the steering wheel, similar to what we've seen on the rest of the Volkswagen Group, and on higher trims you also get an augmented reality head-up display, which I've found really good to use. It also comes with a full ambient lighting suite, which looks absolutely fantastic at night. It's all lit below the dashboard along this centre console, and my favourite thing, you have this starlit door panel. It's really, truly beautiful, and it reflects off of all of those angles within this cabin. It really is lovely, and another lovely feature has got to be these seats. Wow, CUPRA knows how to build a bucket seat. Once again, they go above and beyond in all of their new cars, and this is stunning. The different design textures in here, you have the CUPRA behind the headrest. It's so beautiful. These are a pricey upgrade, but if you want something which goes all in on drama, then this is it. Now, there is a negative, and I do think this is quite a big deal for a car like this, and it's cup holders. So you have got 2 cup holders in the centre here, but here's my issue. So as displayed by my lovely Greg's Latte, and I haven't mentioned this in ages, but I do actually have a page called Ko-fi. So basically it's an option to buy me a coffee if you're enjoying the content. It really, really helps because it means that I can just give myself a little bit of a treat when I'm out and about. But moving on to the practicality test. If you pop this inside of the cup holder, there's literally not space for another coffee cup. meaning you and your passenger will have to argue about who puts their coffee in the cup holder, which I think is ridiculous and it's a real oversight. Cans would be fine, but they still rattle around a little bit. But that's a big shame, and do not think about putting anything bigger than a coffee cup in here. So overall, the interior feels like a proper event. It's not trying to copy Tesla's minimal approach or go for a full Audi tech fest. It's doing its own thing, and it's doing it with CUPRA flair, which I love. CUPRA's latest driver assistance suite is all here. You've got adaptive cruise control, travel assist with a cloud-based lane centering, automatic lane changing, side assist, exit warning, and even remote park assist, all from your mobile phone. So it's really clever. There's also emergency assist, which can bring the car to a stop if it senses the driver is incapacitated. And there's also an AR head-up display, which keeps all of your info in your eye line so that you don't feel distracted when driving. Range is actually solid across the board, so there's up to 353 miles in the rear-wheel drive and 324 in this all-wheel drive VZ1. And in real world, I've been seeing about 260 to 280, depending on driving conditions and how much regen you're using, which is controlled by the paddles. Charging is also quick enough, 135 kilowatts of DC charging, 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes, and you also get an 11 kilowatt AC charger, which is great if you've got a three-phase home setup. But here's my gripe. It's the heat pump that is optional. On a car starting over £55,000, I think that's a misstep. The Kia EV6 GT, for example, includes a heat pump as standard, and that's a similarly priced, similarly spec'd electric SUV. In fact, it's quicker. CUPRA really should have put this in as standard to make it properly efficient in winter and to be able to compete with the competition. Boot space in the Tavascan comes in at 540 litres, which puts it slightly behind the Volkswagen ID.5 at 549 and the Skoda Enyaq Coupe at 570, but it's still way ahead of many similarly styled EVs like the Audi Q4 Sportback. But where the Tavascan does lose some ground is in its interior cleverness. Having driven the Skoda Elroq VRS, it's clear that Skoda has really gone the extra mile on usability, with cubbies, trays, hooks and cargo tricks that the CUPRA just doesn't really bother with. That's not to say that the Tavascan isn't practical. You still do get an adjustable boot floor, and even underneath the adjustable boot floor, you still have some extra storage for your charging cables. But on the outside edges of the Tavascan's boot, you won't find any hooks or tie-down tether points, which is a little bit of a shame, and that's something which really impressed me with the Skoda. But let's face it, it's pretty much what I expected for a design-led SUV. Rear interior space paints a very similar picture to the boot space. There's not many negatives in the back here. Actually, it feels quite spacious, definitely helped by the panoramic sunroof. I imagine if you don't have that, it feels quite dark because there's so many dark colours used within Cupras. You have got the beautiful illuminated lights once again on the door cards, and you've got these lovely chrome elements. However, it still would feel very dark and a little bit claustrophobic, but got a really good level of legroom, really good level of headroom, and it feels nice and soft and comfortable. I've got a couple of cup holders. I've also got some through loading through to the boot, but it doesn't go above and beyond. So there's nothing in here which feels particularly family friendly. You've got some real hard backs of the seats, which wouldn't exactly be the most comfortable, and you haven't got any seat pockets on the backs of those, which means ultimately there's nowhere to pop your mobile phone. You have got a couple of USB-C ports just below there, and actually, because this is a higher spec model, one of the higher specs, you get rear ventilation, so tri-zone climate control, and you also have heated seats as well. So, but they're some very pricey upgrades. You're looking towards a £60,000 car if you want to have those. Without that, it would just feel a little bit underwhelming. But that's if you're having this as a family car. And I think people choosing the CUPRA Tavascan are going to be looking for something which is design-led, maybe as their only car, rather than looking for it as a family wagon. So, what do I think to the Tavascan now I've had a chance to drive it on my favourite Suffolk roads here in the UK? Well, my opinion has shifted. It's still not cheap, and the brake feel, plus the light steering and the optional heat pump do raise eyebrows. But as a package, well, This thing has grown on me. It looks incredible. The interior feels special. And once you get it set up right, it's genuinely fun to drive. Now, if you're cross-shopping, here's the real question. Would you take this over the Skoda Enyaq VRS, the Kia EV6 GT, or the Hyundai IONIQ 5N? They're all electric SUVs with performance in mind, each with their own strengths. Kia and the Hyundai, they're more playful. And the Enyaq, well, it's more practical. But the Tavascan, this is the style king. If you want something which stands out, something which turns heads and still delivers on power and presence, then this is the one to beat. But let me know, what do you guys think of the Tavascan? Would this be your top choice in that lineup? Let me know down below. I really hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more like it, then you know what to do. Make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, guys, see you later.